morning. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to welcome Mayor Jackson, Council President Kelly, Councilman Zone, Sheriff Pinckney, Prosecutor Mcginty, and other distinguished guests and our law enforcement partners. We're here to provide an update regarding recent gun violence that has plagued our city. Speaking today will be Chief Calvin Williams, Mayor Frank Jackson, and Prosecutor Tim Mcginty. We'll have a short Q&A afterwards. Chief.
Thanks, Jen. Good morning. First of all, our deepest condolences to the families of all the victims that we've had this year. And our prayers and thoughts are with them and with victims around the country with the recent tragedies. Over the last month or so, everybody knows the things that have kind of been a plague on the city as far as violence and young folks. You know, we've lost 3 young, innocent lives. And, you know, it's hard to stomach that because it's not for any reason that we can come up with, not for any reason that any sensible person can come up with. But I'm going to recap a little bit some of those tragedies and where we're at in the investigations and or arrest of individuals. As you remember, little Ramon Burnett was killed on September 4th on Louise Harris Drive. At that time, 2 people were arrested. They're both indicted for his senseless homicide. Major Howard was shot and killed on September 15th on East 113th Street. At this time, we still have an arrest warrant issued for Donnell Lindsay. He's still at large. We still need the public's help in finding him and bringing him in so we can give this family some closure. On September 19th, Dante Padgett Jr. was shot and his father was killed on MLK and Shaker Boulevard. We still have yet to get any credible leads in that investigation as to who was responsible for that. And of course, we're still asking for the public's help in that. And then, of course, most recently, on East 4th, there was a shooting. 3 people were shot. 1 person was killed. And we believe, connected with that also, there was a shooting on Way Avenue that very same night in which Sydney was killed in her living room as she slept on the couch. We currently have arrest warrants for 4 individuals in connection with the East 4th shooting. We're not going to give any names, and we would very much appreciate if the press did not put names out there, even if you know them, to give our investigators and our fugitive unit a chance to catch up with these individuals and bring them in for these crimes. And of course, last night, another tragedy, a 6-month-old killed for no reason. In that case also, there are no leads right now. Although we are getting tips in, and our officers are following up, and our investigators and our partners that are helping us with these crimes are following up. But we need more. Our community needs to step forward. You know, we talked last night about, you know, enough is enough, and it is. And I really implore our community to step forward and also not just say, but show enough is enough. We're going to be out there aggressively, as we have in the past, and continue to be aggressive in enforcement when it comes to violent crime in the city. And we ask the public, if you know something, you can prevent a tragedy like happened last night by just giving us a call. Our officers are out there waiting for you to call and let them know who's carrying a gun, who's beefing with who, that's trying to set up a hit on that person or perpetrate crime and violence in the city. We just need you to call us. You can call Crime Stoppers at 25-CRIME, or you can call our non-emergency number at the police division, 621-1234, and give us that information, because our officers are out there waiting for that information so that we can prevent things that like that happened last night. You know, there are a lot of people out there that talk about a lot of things, about what should happen in the city. They talk about They talk about a lot of things, but we need people that are actually going to do things. We need people out there in the community that are concerned with black lives, with brown lives, with white lives, with purple lives, to step out and do something, and not just have chants and slogans and marches. We've marched enough. We need people to do something. And that's what I'm here today for. I want people to do something. And if people step out and do something, we can take care of this. So you've heard all the stats. You know what's happened. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm going to have Mayor Jackson come up and say a few words on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. I too want to give my condolence to those who lost their loved ones, their friends, in violence, particularly those who were innocent in all of this. To follow what the Chief said in a context, I was looking at the Plain Dealer today. So, I actually looked at it today.
Thanks, you're the last one.
And when I looked at it, I saw on the left-hand side a column, small print, about the 5-month-old. Big headlines, huge headlines, and a huge picture about the shooting on a college campus. 9 people, I guess, were killed. I then went to page 12. Page 12, I saw a big picture of President Obama lamenting the situation, not only at the college campus, but what he was saying was something that was plaguing America. And how, as the Chief said, we become immobile in terms of what we should do and those who have responsibility to do things. And he referred to Congress and about how we have to do things with guns. So why am I mentioning it this way? The Chief also mentioned that there are people who talk about always what someone else should be doing. But they do nothing. They have great conversations and great philosophical discussions about what someone else should do, but they do nothing. And I know that there's been a stereotyping of the neighborhoods in which these tragedies have occurred and some demonization of the people who live in these neighborhoods. And I want to say to you that that's not accurate. When we were out there last night, people were concerned. They were fed up. The lines had been crossed. When we were on Louise Avenue Court with the 5-year-old, same thing. With the 3-year-old, with the 10-year-old. And because of their help and their assistance, we have been able to solve things that in the past we may not have been able to solve because people are fed up. So we have a problem. We're going to address that problem. We'll probably get some criticism and the aggressiveness of us addressing that problem, but so be that. And we're going to make sure that the people of the city of Cleveland know that they are safe. And if they help us, we want to enable them and empower them to control their community rather than leaving it up to a few who take advantage of and listening to another few who would, in my words, would pimp tragedy. So I'd like to turn it over to the county prosecutor, who will give you an update.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Tim Mcginty, the Coweta County Prosecutor. I am here to announce and ask. We're going to announce a $25,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in the shooting of the 5-month-old AVL Wakefield last night, and or the Dante Padgett 10-year-old who was shot as his father was executed at Shaker and MLK Boulevard intersection. We need people with courage to come forward and as witnesses. We know there are people out there, many people who are aware of the background and have knowledge on this shooting. Now, we don't need a witness for an actual witness for the trial to gain the $25,000 reward. Just give us the information that leads us in the right direction, and the police will take it from there. CPD, homicide, and gang unit will figure this out. We have figured out these cases in the past. The witnesses who do come forward, have the courage to come forward, who know something about this case, we will protect them. I have not had a witness killed or know of one that I have worked with in 42 years of court and law enforcement work. So have the courage to come forward. These are god-awful crimes. These are gutless wonders that we want to remove from the street. Please help us. The police are anxious to do so. The neighborhood needs it. These families need it. Let's bring these people to justice. Thank you.
Anybody have any
We'll
questions?
take a couple questions now.
Chief, has it been, do you dread each weekend given the pattern that's been going on? And how do you prepare for it?
Well, do I dread each weekend? No, I don't, because I have hope that the people in the city will do what they need to do, and I have all the faith and confidence that my officers are out there day in and day out, night and day, rain or shine, trying to protect the city. So no, I don't.
Do you believe these shootings are mostly, the drive-bys are mostly gang-related, some sort of gang ties?
I believe that most of these incidents have some tie to different groups that have problems with each other, whether they are, excuse me, whether they are actual gangs. We're in the process of tying together some things that will tell us yes or no on that.
Chief, when you tell people to do something, are you at all referring to their right to vote and express their vote on election day for people who want to push for tougher gun laws in this country?
I'm referring to, the rights of the citizens in this country to do the right thing, whether that be on election day or whether that be today. I mean, people need to stop chanting and actually do something. Whether that's voting or whether that's being out on the streets talking to these young kids and these young folks, whether that's being in our schools and our rec centers, do something. I mean, the people you see behind me today, we do this every day. We put the hard work in. We're out there in the trenches trying to make this city safe and this county safe. So, if you're out there and your message is, things are happening and needs to get better, then what are you doing to make it better? That's what I'm saying.
Chief, what do you have to say to the people who are afraid to come forward fearing, reprisals?
We will do everything in our power possible to protect them. They will remain anonymous if that's their ask. We're not going to put people's information out there. We just need the information. If you call us, if you call that 2-5 crime and give a tip that there's a guy walking down any street in the city and you know he has a weapon on him, we're going to have officers there right then and there to grab that person and get that weapon off our streets. And you don't need to leave your name. You can call Crime Stoppers and remain anonymous.
Chief, you mentioned, we're talking about the gangs. You beefed up the gang unit last summer. Where do things stand so far as numbers, and are those resources enough?
Well, with a 5.5-month-old being killed, of course, for that family, enough is never enough. The gang unit is 25 plus strong. We're putting additional people there as far as supervision. We have our partners that are dedicating resources to our gang unit to make it stronger, from the prosecutor's office, from our federal partners. I mean, we can throw 1,000 guys out there and men and women to fight this day in and day out, but if we don't get information, we're just spinning our wheels. I mean, I hate to bring up specifics, but a young lady was killed in her living room because of what her brother was doing out there in the neighborhoods. And everybody in that family, in that neighborhood, knew this. And it came back, and it resulted in an innocent 19-year-old sweet girl being killed, period. That's the bottom line here. You know, if you're in my household, I know what you're doing. And if it's not right, then I need to get you out of my household, or I need to tell somebody that can help me with that. And that's not happening at the rate that it should in the city.
Chief, in regards to the recent shooting, is there some kind of retaliatory thread that connects all of them?
There could be, and we're investigating that. But we don't want to say things are connected unless we positively know they are. The shootings on East 4th and the shootings on Way, we know they're somewhat connected. We're trying to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row. We're trying to make sure through the arrest warrants that we've issued and the people we're trying to find, that will clarify whether or not they are connected.
Chief, you and Mayor Jackson both mentioned aggressive tactics. Are you guys ramping up, or is there any sort of investigation?
No, it's not so much aggressive tactics. It's good, honest, hard policing. We do it every day. We're just adding to those numbers. We're just fine-tuning and being surgical in what we do out there every day. I mean, the mayor, you know, there are a lot of good people in the city, a lot of good people, and they far outweigh the bad people in the city. And we want to make sure that they're protected. We want to make sure that they know we're out there fighting for them.
So are you adding officers or detectives?
Well, I'm not going to give you specifics on, you know, some of the things that we're doing, but people are going to see our guys and girls out there, and we need the public's help to make sure that there's work for them to do, that there's precise, specific intelligence for our guys to act on.
Clearly, Chief, this has struck a very emotional chord with you.
Well, I mean, this should be emotional for everybody. I mean, everybody in this room, everybody in the city should be.
One more question.
What kind of a toll is this taking on the police force? I mean, the small kids, babies. I mean, you're obviously exasperated. I mean,
It's tough.
Across the
It's tough, and our men and women have support to work through things like this. You know, and two of these instances, our officers actually administered first aid, even last night to the 5-month-old baby. They were the first ones on scene, and they administered first aid. So that's got to touch them. It does, and we're supporting our officers.
Was the child in a car seat?
Yes, she was. She was.
Was anyone in that car a target of this?
We don't know. That's what we need from the public. We need that information. But there were 4 people in that car, and unfortunately, the baby's the one that caught a bullet that was probably meant for somebody else, probably not somebody else that was even in that vehicle. I mean, who knows? Until we get that information, we don't know.
Was that a drive-by shooting though?
No.
Thanks for coming today, guys.
All right, thank you. Thanks.